everybody, thank you for joining me today. Today we are doing my setup for May 2023. I would have liked to have this done last week, but I kept changing my mind on the theme and going back and forth, but eventually I settled on tulips. So in my whole tulip researching phase, I discovered many different varieties of tulips and decided to draw all of them. So what that means is I have a ton of fun freebies for you this month, including a hand-lettered dashboard, a couple of prints, and this month I thought it would be fun to include a printable card. You can use it for Mother's Day if you're running late, or you can just use it as a sympathy card or a thank you card, whatever you want. I have the instructions on my website. You can go and check that out. The blog is linked down below. But as I said, we are doing a tulip theme today. April was a little bit rough. It was a rough month, and it happened to be a rough week, so I was super in my feelings and decided to just create. So I ended up putting Distress ink oxide on the background of my page. I outlined my tulips with the acrylograph paint pens, just so that they could stand out and I could see them better when it came to coloring in. And yeah, so that's what you saw me do there. And now I'm adding my Distress ink oxide onto the page. Normally I like to get a smoother background, but honestly my hands have been bothering me a little bit. I sometimes get a bit of joint pain in my hands. So I just thought, I don't care. And just put ink on the page. I layered it with the Distress inks, which is a slightly different formula from the oxides, and when you create with the two of the different inks together, you get a really fun effect. Now, I believe this is vintage photo, and vintage photo for both the oxide and the Distress ink, because I just wanted a soft background layer, which you see me create there. I decided to mix some paint. This is gouache paint by Art Philosophy. I have all the supplies linked down below that you can check out as well as on the blog. And I have a color mixing video for you that I've linked down below as well that you can check out, and that's what I'm doing here. I meant to mix the color a little bit lighter than the acrylographs. Like I wanted it to match the acrylograph, but I wanted it to be a little bit lighter. But I was distracted and ended up making it the same color, or mixing the same color as the acrylograph. So the border doesn't stand out quite as much as I wanted. I didn't want a black border, but I just wanted it to be a little bit darker than the paint. And of course I mixed the paint too dark. So I did that with all three flowers. I did that 3 times in a row. But I just decided it is what it is. Time is running out and I need to get my bullet journal set up because May again is going to be a super busy month. So I just put it down on the page, and you'll see later on I go back in with my acrylograph and go over the lines I initially drew. I'm now mixing a pinkish corally color. This is to match the bubbly from the Piper Art collaboration that Archer and Olive did a couple of years ago. And again, I matched it the exact same, so it kind of blends in a little bit more than I wanted to. And then the middle color, I believe, is from the Piper Art collection as well. So I chose tulips because A, it's spring, and B, I've been on this flower kick where I actually used my flower press to dry a tulip, and it went really, really well. I ended up mixing more ink or more paint than I meant to, and I didn't want it to go to waste. So I grabbed one of my sketchbooks and I just started layering paint down, and I thought this was great. And I really love the background that it created. So I'm excited to do something with that. I'm just adding in the brown. I don't think I mixed anything. I maybe mixed a little bit of white in, but not too much. And now I'm just mixing green for the stems and grabbing a little bit of yellow to fill in the stamens of the flowers. I really do love painting now. It took a while for me to get here. I'm sure you can watch my progression from when I started to now. I definitely paint more than I used to, and I enjoy it a lot more. Part of it is just experimenting and understanding the mediums that you work with, so like watercolor versus gouache versus acrylic. Quickly, acrylic's going to dry more plastic and might make your notebook bumpy, so that's why a lot of bullet journalers will use watercolor or gouache. So this is the dashboard. Embrace imperfections with self-love. I did that a lot for this setup. For one, the lettering style doesn't quite match the elegance or opulence of the tulips. And then I'm just doing button calligraphy for May. And that was basically my cover page. I added a couple more details by going in with, like I said, making the outlines of the leaves a little bit darker, or the petals a little bit darker, and just adding details with the pens, just some lines, drawing in some rough lines, which you can't see on the camera, but you can see in person. And then adding highlights to my lettering. Did I need the highlights? No. Should I probably have added highlights to the rest of the page? Yes. Now, there was about a day dry time in between finishing my cover page and starting my calendar page. Probably didn't need a full day, but I just wanted to make sure the paint was going to be dry so I didn't get paint everywhere. Now I'm using a masking technique just with post-it notes and adding in the Distress Oxide like I did for my cover page. I'm masking off the squares where I'm going to be writing in my calendar, so you'll see that shortly, and then just carrying on the stencil overlay for a little bit of texture. As always, I'm adding in my borders. I do think they finish off the page nicely. Love them or hate them. They're one of my favorite things to do. And now I'm using the Archer and Olive journaling stencil to go in and draw the lines. I'm so biased. I am, but that stencil is amazing. I love it. I only recently took it out of the box. I think I bought it I got it when it first came out and hadn't really touched it. And I used it for my 5Ws layout, the last video I did, and I used it for this layout, and man alive, I love it. It's fantastic. Then my cat getting involved. She got paint on her nose. She tried to drink the dirty paint water. She was a bit of a disaster this go around, but I think I managed to stop her from getting sick. So now you see me putting my notes page together. The last few months I've been combining a notes page and a habit tracker page, but honestly, I haven't been using the habit tracker. I want to. I keep trying, but it's just not there. It's just not there for me. So I decided I have a lot going on in May that I need to keep track of. So I'm just going to do a full 2-page notes page to keep track of everything I want to do and call it a day. I'm not going to start feeling guilty about not filling in a habit tracker. And I ended up turning the page before the ink was dry, and I just go in with a white acrylograph paint pen to cover it up. And as you can see on camera, it's pretty much how it looks in real life. You can't really see where the mess up is. Again, missing there was the dry time, actually waiting for the paint to dry, as well as the white acrylograph where I fixed it. I thought it'd be fun to go in and do a Dutch door. It's almost time for a new bullet journal setup, and I do have a bit more pages than I normally would. So I thought, again, May's a busy month, and I will put in some Dutch doors this month and actually use more of the journal. So that's what I'm doing. Normally I like to keep my weeklies simple, or more simple than I do the rest of the monthly setup. But like I said, I was really in my feelings, and I was just in the mood to be more creative and be extra which is what you're going to see me do here. I ended up grabbing a alphabet stamp set from scrapbook.com just to grab the numbers, and I date stamped my numbers. Now, I can't remember the last time I added a date to my weekly boxes. And I found in April I really needed it. There was so much for work, there was so much back and forth, and that it got a little bit overwhelming not seeing the actual dates on the page. And so that's what I'm doing for May. I have added the date onto the daily. Like I said, this is my first time, I think, ever, maybe not when I first started I did the dates, but it's definitely been three or 4 years. So anyways, that's what you see me do there. I wrote in coming up, so that'll be for next week, next month, whatever comes up. I'm stamping my calendar stamp, and I just do calligraphy for the month. And you're going to see me repeat the circles with the stamped numbers and the day of the week lettering behind the Dutch door. I'm excited. I also decided that since I had the extra space, I made a space for reflections. Now, I mentioned earlier I did a 5Ws method video, which I'll link down below as well. And this has to do with reflection journaling. It's one of the methods to help with guided reflection journaling. So you can check that out. This month for May, I'm definitely going to try more. Like I said, April was a rough month. I don't think May is going to be any easier. And it's Mental Health May, so let's try the reflections method. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you got some ideas and some inspiration. If you enjoyed today's video, I appreciate it. If you if you want to see more of this, please subscribe. I have pen reviews and different kinds of journaling methods coming up, as well as ongoing tutorials. So thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. And stay till the end for the flip through, and I will see you in the next one.